mic on? Yes. Good afternoon. Paul Surin from Wienerberger. See, there you go. IBM. I was gonna say it's my third day at IBM. So I've been working for Wienerberger for about 5 years. So I'm sorry about that. And basically, this is the view in terms of digital built environment, in terms of why, how, and what I believed, and that's why I joined IBM, needs to do in order to kind of address the issues around digital transformation, around digitizing the built environment. I globally lead BIM and digital built environment for IBM. Like I said, I joined them on Monday. I'm chair of the digitalization task group for Construction Products Europe. I've been working with many of you over the last 5 years on this topic around data and standardization. So this is kind of the vision I put up for IBM, that IBM needs to lead the digital transformation of the built environment and also continue to create the value of the customers, because obviously they are transactional business, but in a way they need to step up, I believe. They need to step up. IBM, we need to provide, we need to be more proactive. I mean, that was one of my issues in the past. So they need to be proactive in terms of sorting out the digital transformation. Why is that? Well, I use this slide quite often, and I've used it in past, but these are still the topics we have, and we have the issue around global urban growth. We have the issue around we're not building enough, being it buildings, schools, hospital infrastructure. And the main issue is around the performance gaps been around for quite some time. We're still not building, in most of the cases, what we should be building or what is the intention of a design to build. We also have an issue that some house developers are building, obviously, for as quickly as possible because they are pressured by the market, but also that's their business model, some of them. I don't want to name them. But then we have the issue with the delivery, we have the issue with the performance gap, and that needs to be addressed. And then we have issue with carbon emissions, and now the new regulations around the nearly zero energy buildings coming into place. So we really need to change in the industry how we build buildings and what we do. We obviously know, because this slide's been around also for a while, the construction is not very digitized. In fact, it's now, I think, last even behind the agriculture. But in terms of the awareness of the need of the digitalization and of the data is there, it's more likely what to do next, what do we do from this? And the PLM, the key supply chain drivers, I think I don't have to say it, but mainly we have the issues around technology, not issues, but we have loads of technology startups, we have different data platforms, and it's literally, we're making it more complex, and we're managing the platforms instead of, and different data sources, and it's becoming much more difficult. And also the pressure on delivering for less, for more. So how we believe, and I believe, it needs to be looked at from the holistic perspective. So the discussion around Industry 4.0, I quite often seeing it completely separate from the digital transformation or digitalization of the construction. I also see the circular economy being a different aspect. And obviously the buzzword IoT, AI, VR, and all that. Yes, it's all there, but we need to look at it from this perspective. And this is the good image been there. 2016 was published in the Future for Construction Manufacturing report by CPA. Steve Thompson and myself worked on it. So I believe that we need to look at it from this perspective where we are kind of looking at the end-to-end. I call it a data flow or an information flow. And it needs to be the shift from modeling to the intelligence that we need to look at it from start to finish. The digital twins, buzzword, but again, we need to make sure digital twin as built as design digital twin, and the use of structured data, obviously. I mentioned the recent years in terms of the sharp increase in investment into construction, into new startups, new actors. But these are still the questions I used to post at Wienerberger boards, and most of other manufacturers are asking, can we standardize our data? What about the governance, data integrity, security? Do we need BIM objects? Do we need data templates? Do we need different databases? What's the right digital format? What is the format? And what's the right platform? So this is, again, a simple example of what we're facing now is the interoperability issues between what is a window in a search result and in different contexts. And this is kind of, I've experienced also at Wienerberger when we were trying to look at the end-to-end data flow from a shop floor, from a raw material through SAP, through different systems, through our printing, just simple DOP on a pallet, getting that data to a designer. I mean, it's just almost an impossible task because you have different silos, different data. You have SAP, you have NBS, you have Amazon, you have PIMCore, you have Oracle, so different data sources, and it's all created locally, unfortunately, and that's the way it is. Even we've really, I mean, at Wienerberger, we were trying to create a logical data model so you can have a one-to-many relationships, but still very difficult to do that because SAP, it's very difficult as a Wienerberger manufacturer to tell them, well, you need to open up my APIs. Well, they will not do it. Same with Autodesk. I've been trying to have a meeting and some meaningful meetings, some meaningful work going on some prototype of a data flow. Again, unless you spend in millions with them, they will not even turn up to a meeting. And I think that is an opportunity for a use of the approach around the data templates work, which is, I think the standard is going to be out later, either December, January next year, on the methodology how to describe the maintenance properties and how they should be. We have loads of properties around, loads of data standards, and I think, again, the sets of properties are there based on standards. We just need to use it, but we need to standardize the approach through a template, so then they all can work from the same template. I know it looks easy, but and it's not easy, I can tell you. We tried at Wienerberger, but I think it's a good start. At least can we really transfer and track that declaration of performance, which is 10, 12, whatever attributes from the shop floor to a designer, to an end of life, to an asset operator. And that's, I believe, where I think what that will enable to do is to do things like a digital asset platform, digital marketplaces. Then you can start creating the assemblies. You cannot start creating the assemblies if your products are not in order, if you don't have an interoperable structured data, and if you cannot start creating the relationship in a machine-readable way. I mean, one thing at Wienerberger we used to do is, because we struggled with that, and marketing wanted to market, obviously they were saying we have marketing data, this is technical data, and they were creating manually these kind of relationships, and that is an issue. And that's where I believe IBM, or either one of, I've been always saying one of the big ones, IBM, Microsoft, needs to step in and literally address the issue of the infrastructure and force the likes of SAP, force the Autodesk, or around the table to start kind of collaboration and developing something like a minimum viable product on a few data flow, which is then interoperable, and which that API can be used by anybody, especially SMEs. They don't have the money on SAP, they don't have the money on big databases. I mean, we spent at Wienerberger, we used to spend about over 2-3 million over the last 2-3 years on just standardizing data and the way we do it. The project's still not finished. We used to see some stuff coming through, like in terms of the management. We were much more agile, but still it was not done and was still difficult, and we had to still keep different entry points. So it's still not there. So in order to then generate the digital twin on the real assets management, that's what we need. So then we can analyze the as-built, as designed. We can analyze against product data, against systems data, and etc. So digital connected supply chain, then obviously this is just showing only what we could do with if we were collaborate contractor manufacturers, how we can streamline the process and how we can get things done better. But I don't want to bore you on that. You've probably seen these kind of before. So in terms of a built environment platform, what it could be, what is the definition? I mean, there was I think beginning of this year, European Commission, there was put out a competition for a feasibility on it was called horizontal platform for construction. Then there were 3 bids. I was reviewing the bids, so there were 3 bids, and it's just a feasibility. So for about, I think they have about 1 million euros. So that's not enough. There is about, I think about 20 stakeholders in the winning bid, and they are looking into it, how we can streamline the process, how you can have not just mass consumer platforms, different technology business platform, but really what is the definition of a horizontal or a built environment construction platform, where you can use obviously the structured data, machine readable, different processes. There is loads of talk around blockchain. How can it be used? Can it be used? Can we maybe use blockchain in terms of validating the interconnected dictionaries? Because you will still need to trust that dictionary or that particular database, that it is structured. How you do it automatically. You cannot do it physically, go to every stakeholder, say, oh, yeah, your database is structured. Yeah, I'm fine. Well, yeah, that's not possible. Can we do that? Again, we will still need the professionals. We will still need the you guys and others to still participate in that. So it's a big task, big challenge. And this feasibility, I think, will run out until the end of next year. And then there is potential. There was a feedback from Commission. There is a potential for big money to be pumped into a construction. But also, if this feasibility doesn't go well, we may not get any money for next 5 years. I mean, we had a meeting, a roundtable discussion with I think it was a director of DG Connect. So it was part of kind of the department, Commission, and they did not know anything about construction. They were saying we were talking about what's going on, and they just said, no, yeah, we didn't even consider construction. And that's, I think, is the problem, that the legacy, we just not there, and then there's not money available. And I think we as an industry need to change that. Just some case studies I quickly run through. I mentioned Wienerberger in terms of structuring the data, end-to-end data control flow, governance, matrix logical enterprise data model, understanding what the data is, how we use it. I mean, the main logic behind that was that we need to have a one-to-many relationships, and we cannot keep maintaining every database separately and having to all these stakeholders SAP. So we said, well, we need a one logical data model, which in another sense, another sentence could be, it's a data template, which is obviously based on the standards, but all that is mainly Wienerberger specific. But it comes from kind of the regulations, national standards, industry standard, mandated and non-mandated. So then it allowed the different dictionaries. So then we had some countries on a rollout, and then it would allow basically to have a context of for products for Germany, for Austria, for the UK, and you can roll it out, these templates out, and then basically start adding local data, but it's managed, governed, and that way you can have a single source of truth around in the headquarters, and you can also maintain the data fields without any issues around like duplicates. Rockwall, that's an IBM's a case study around using analytics and mainly on again product lifecycle management in their factory, using kind of plant advisors. But again, it's very isolated. It's only they used it in a plant level. So and that was one of my tasks at IBM, is to talk about these case studies, because they have some really good case studies, but they're not talking about it. They have another one with the clients on a next generation product lifecycle management, master data management. I'm showing these that there is a common theme in these, which is just data, managing data, interoperability of data, how that data works out. And most of these are integrating SAP with different data sources. Samex, again, that's quite a good one. I was quite annoyed when I found out about that, because we had been doing similar things at Wienerberger, and we did not know that's happening in Samex. Samex now completely, they digitized their supply chain. They're using a platform for communication with their entire supply chain, and they have about 20,000 users on it. So yeah, quite a good case study. Nuclear-built power plant in the UK, again looking at engineering, centralizing data, configuration management, and also a document control. Jaguar Land Rover as well on project management functionality and different PLM systems. So it's literally just a summary. Yeah, it's all about the data, and collaboration between the technology infrastructure and industry actors is the key success. One of my tasks would be, I would also want to have a project where we get together SAP, Autodesk, some industry actors, we get IBM, we get the likes of CoBuilder, maybe BIM objects, and really working out on a proper end-to-end data flow. And can we have some kind of minimum viable products, and more like a research, if it's possible, don't know, probably should be. And then we need to also look, obviously we are, in terms of manufacturing, highly regulated, so we need to bear in mind the legislation and market surveillance, and existing standardization work will help. I believe the work, I mean, Alex Small is here and some others, we've been working in the last 3 years at the CEN TC 442, that will hopefully help. But again, it will take time. Even if the standard is out in January, it will take probably 2-3 years before it's properly adopted. So that's it from me, unless there are any questions. No.
Questions for Paul? Would you like to ask something? Don't be shy. Do you think there is any kind of move to introduce more standardization between suppliers and software companies? Because I don't get any sense that there is.
No, I mean, like I said, I think the main issue I see is some of the software, kind of the infrastructure vendors. They are not very willing, and they are not obviously very good, and they don't want to collaborate really. And that's, I think, is the issue. That's what I used to face at Wienerberger. I know others are facing as well. Is how we almost have we needed to have almost a different solution for every market. You have hundreds. I mean, we did a feasibility study with Construction Products Europe on how many actors there are on European market. Anything to do with BIM digitalization. It's going to be published next week. It's about 283 different actors. 283 just on the European market. So, and if you then have an international business or international company, even local company, how an SME on an earth can decide which one of them is the right one. And also the market is saturated in the UK, in Netherlands, on Nordics. Yeah, data management is like almost every SME or every startup is looking at data, how you decide which one is the right one to do. So I think the right way is if we have a standardized approach, so everyone can standardize their data in the same way, then that could be the way. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It's going to take a long time. We've been talking about this with most of you guys for the last 5 years. I mean, so.
Could I also ask? I mean, IBM is making a big play of artificial intelligence as a big sort of platform.
Yeah.
Is that something you can see IBM developing for construction? I don't know whether it's.
I think they have I had with the sector leader. I had a good meeting yesterday. They always say we are as slow as our customers are, and that's something I believe they need to change. The AI is there, but unless we did a project while I was at Wienerberger on cognitive homes on using AI. We spent 8 months just basically working on a configuration of IBM Watson, of understanding and using the AI. So it's not like we have an AI and now the AI will solve our problems. You need to spend the time on that. You need still the data, and the AI needs to be analyzed, something around it. Same with blockchain. It's like a big buzzword. Oh yeah, let's use AI and blockchain. But again, the problem there is if we don't have that, the basic data in the right order, it's not going to work. It's always an isolated case.
Okay. Anyone like to ask a question before we move on?
In the case studies that you've done, is there, Ray, in the case studies that you've done, is there any of the offerings that you would recommend as a good standard for data management to standardize it, like say Uniclass?
I would say again is that there is what there's the perception there's this difference between the data model or the data template and a classification. There's many, I mean, we used to have at Wienerberger 18 different classification per product. So it's more likely not looking into it. It's just standardizing the data according, I mean, some of the industries are, say, construction by regulation. So if you have that CE marking, that's a template, isn't it? That's a way. I know it's not used in the industry. I mean, we used to have 5 downloads a year as a whole group of our declaration of performances. It's there, it's online, it's in several. But again, it's the awareness is not there that is there. So in terms of standardizing, Yeoman needs to look at, and that's where we're hoping. I know it's not going to solve the issues, the CC442 work on the data template standardization, but like where you have a booking.com, they walked around and kind of looking to a template, and then you standardize again the template, and then you just fill the data, and then it's a product data sheet. So it's more likely looking at internally and create a data model which fits the company, but looking at it from a perspective which is scalable. So if you have standards, regulations, something which is common, so take it from there down to a local market, and then you can create a relationship from that to either SAP temporarily, and then from there you can also have a one-to-many relationship rather than maintaining different relationship with different databases from different data models. In Excel sheets these days, it's done on Excel sheets. Some companies are running businesses still on Excel sheets. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a. Thank you very much, Paul. We have a.
I've got a brief question.
Yeah.
Nice presentation, thank you. I think it's always brilliant at these conferences where we're not looking at 3D models. We're starting to talk about classification and structured data. I think the nerds of us in the room will really appreciate the direction of that conversation. It's really necessary. I wondered whether you're seeing an increase in companies adopting data warehouses and the like. I've seen a huge increase in Power BI recently and loads of pretty graphics based on crap data. And I wonder if you've seen the increase in proper structured data and data warehousing.
Yeah, like you said, I think there is an option. It's how you. I always believe when we did it at Wienerberger, we looked at it. Like I said, is to looking at looking at the data model first for us internally. We did not look anything outside that. We simply, the first 6 months, all we did was interviewing, I think it was about 200 data people across the business, cross country, and we asked them, why are you using this particular data field, what it means for you. And then we kind of got rid of, it was classic data cleansing, but we got rid of the duplicates and then set up what it was unique and scalable across our data model. And I think that's the right way. I mean, things like I think there's been talked about data lakes and all that. I mean, unless we have the structure in place, I think that's never going to work. But yeah, I see an increase, but I think it's where to start. Who do you talk to? I mean, again, Wienerberger, sorry to say we, they also spent 2015, we had a consultant, there was a consultant for Delaware. So again, they came in, said, oh yeah, we sort out your data warehousing, SAP Hybris, fantastic 400-pager, business requirements, €500,000. And again, it's been binned last year, we binned it because we didn't use it. And then you have another consultant, we had a BCG, I'm not saying anything against them, but then there is an issue, they download your brain, prepare, and then they'll say, well, you need to find out a middleware to sort it out, the interoperability between SAP and for example, Adobe. So,
thanks.
I know there's quite a few more questions, but I just
I was just going to help respond to that as well. I think as another manufacturer, obviously Paul and I worked quite closely over the last couple of years, and it's because actually manufacturers have not got a clue where to start.
Yeah.
They have absolutely no idea, even those that are telling you they do, where to start in this whole process. And actually, the best thing for me was to work with Paul, completely different manufacturers, and work together in the same direction. We need product databases. There's no way around it. But manufacturers need to be told that. And at the moment, main contractors are masking the problem by filling in the COBie data for the supply chain. And so many manufacturers are sitting there going, well, no one's asking me for it. So if there's one message that I'd like to put out there, is get the message to manufacturers. We have to get them, and we'll help them. You know, we need to start working together as a group of manufacturers and support this process.
Yeah, there's one other term being used, data pools now. It's quite common, data pools. So they're basically, it's just fill me an Excel sheet, not a COBie. I mean, in Netherlands, Wienerberger division used to they fill in 12 different data pools, and they spend in 2 days a month in updating these data sheets, because every time the customer asks for a different data for a different format. So the automation and the database, that one data model, so you can manage the one-to-many relationship, is absolutely key.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.